And decisions that we make every day either contribute to our future economic opportunity or they lead us in a different path that could lead to more dangerous outcomes. So we're going to talk about that today, and it's my pleasure and privilege to be able to share with you some powerful lessons that we have been teaching for quite some time. And okay, I think we're ready to get started. These things are getting slow. It's going to be a challenge. I'm trying to do this without putting on my glasses, and it's going to be a little bit of a challenge because this screen is small. All right, so here we go. Okay, so today I want to introduce to you guys the 12 ways to develop your future economic opportunities, and this is especially crafted for a conversation with teens. 12 ways to develop your future economic opportunity. And so, as I mentioned earlier, we're talking about these principles that we derived from Edward De Jesus and his wonderful book, his first book that he wrote, that was The Young Adult's Guide to Making It. And in The Young Adult's Guide to Making It, he introduced us to 6 core principles that all young people that are struggling in urban America today need to master, right? And all young people should be aware of these principles. And so I want to share with you some of the principles that relate to our first universal survival law. Again, our first universal survival law is true survival means doing things that promote your life, your freedom, and your future economic opportunity. We refer to that as FEO. True survival means doing things that promote your life, your freedom, and your future economic opportunity. Okay? So I want to introduce right now 12 ways to develop your future economic opportunity for teens. You ready? Here we go. Number 1, we want everyone to understand and master this core principle, and that is, if you want to be financially successful, if you want to build the type of life that you want in your future, you have to spend less money than you make. This is one of the biggest challenges of living in America today, is we're built on a system. Our country is built upon a philosophy and a system of acquisition, and we're always trying to buy things that we can't afford yet, and we're always trying to use credit to buy things. And the biggest challenge that people have is they see things and they have the ability to acquire things that they can't really afford. And so how do they do that? They get in debt up to their eyeballs, right? They're like, I really can't afford this nice new Tesla, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sign a loan, and I'm going to pay $900 a month or $1,000 a month so that I can get an $80,000 car that I really can't afford, right? You cannot build a financial successful future or a successful financial future by spending more money than you make. So you have to spend less money than you make and avoid the ghetto fabulous lifestyle, right? I know people today that live in the hood, and they live in an apartment, and they drive up in a Pinto, and they got Dubs on their Pinto. And their stuff is so crazy. I'm like, look, you're living in an apartment, and you got rims that you could actually sell those rims, take that money, put a down payment on a house, and stay in your own house, and you're living in an apartment. So if you want to avoid that, you need to stop spending money. Stop spending money that you don't have, right? You have to spend less money than you make. All right. Number 2, the second principle that I tell everybody is, if you want to be successful, especially if you're a young person, a teen growing up in America today, you have to prepare for a career by building your skills and your habits. One of the universal survival laws we love to talk about that was introduced by Edward De Jesus is the 2-1-30. 2-1-30. That stands for 2 new skills, 1 new habit every 30 days. Every young person today who lives in our country, right, is in a very competitive job market. And so right now, while you're still in high school, while you're matriculated from middle school, when you're coming out of 9th grade, going into 10th grade, 10th to 11th, 11th to 12th, you're in competition with all those people who are in your graduating class for jobs. And so how do you beat that? Well, you make sure that while you're in the same place as they are, you're building skills and developing habits. And many people go to high school and they graduate, but they have no useful skills. They don't have any transferable job skills. And you need to focus on how many skills am I building inside my life, because one day you will get paid for the skills that you've acquired and how you're able to solve those problems for people. Listen, you were born, you were created to be a problem solver, right? And the problem that you solve for someone else is the thing that's going to get you paid in this life. So I'm trying to tell you that skills pay bills. And if you want to be financially successful, if you want to build your FEO, one of the things that you have to do is you have to prepare for a career today by building your skills and your habits. Next principle. You have to master what I refer to as the big four. Anyone that wants to build the type of financial future that they really desire, right? You have hope for having a nice house. You have hope for driving a nice car. You have hope that you're going to be able to have all of your basic needs met. You have hope that one day when you retire, you're going to be able to retire at a decent age and you're not going to have to work until you're so old that they got to come and get you at the nursing home and bring you down to your job, right? So you have to master the big four. What are the big four? Number one, budget. Number two, credit. Number three, debt. Number four, taxes. Those are what I call the big four. And right now, as a young person, you need to master these principles. I wish I could go back and talk to the teenager Keith. I wish I could tell myself, listen, make sure you look out for these four bullies that live on your street and live in your neighborhood. If you don't look out for them, they'll take you out. And again, those big four things are your budget, your credit, your debt, and your taxes. And so everybody has to be able to manage that. Everybody needs to be aware. What is a budget? A budget is a financial plan for how you're going to spend your money before you get it, right? So master that. Develop a plan before the money hits your bank account. Look, let your budget be the arbitrator of what you buy and what you don't buy. Let your budget tell you where you live and where you don't live. Let your budget tell you what kind of car you can afford to drive, right? Let your budget be the judge. And if your budget says I can afford a $200 car payment, then you get a car that's $200 or less per month, right? If your budget says I can't afford car payments, I need to just buy something outright, then let your budget tell you how much you can afford to buy outright. But pay attention to your budget. Number two, credit. Everybody in our country and in our world, our sphere of influence is in the situation where we are connected to a credit system. Credit. When you're from the hood, you're like, oh man, yeah, I got some street cred. I tell people, look, if you roll up here looking all crazy, you're gonna lose your ghetto pass, right? And basically, we all have this idea, this basic core understanding of credibility, right? In this neighborhood, in this community, I grew up here. They know me, I know them, right? And so they let me walk by and nobody bothers me. That's what you call your ghetto pass, right? You grew up in the hood, they know you, they see you, they know your mama, right? So they let you through. Well, in the world of adults, right, your ghetto pass has to do with your credit score. And if you have good credit, right, there are some neighborhoods that they're like, oh yeah, come on through, you can go straight through. If you have bad credit, there are some neighborhoods where like, I'm sorry, sir, you're gonna have to go around, right? You coming through the neighborhood where you're trying to buy a house, I'm sorry, sir, you're gonna have to go around. You coming through the neighborhood where you need to get a phone, it's not a prepaid phone, oh, I'm sorry, sir, you're gonna have to go around, right? So your credit is related to your financial credibility. And your credit is reflected in two important things. I'm going to drop this and then leave this, and you think about this. Number one, you have a credit score. It's a number, somewhere between 350 and 850. It's like a grade, right? Your credit score is like a grade. It's like, oh, I have an A in this class. I have a B, I have a C, I have a D. Oh, I got an F, right? So if you have good credit, then that means you had an A. If you have super good credit, you got an A+, right? But if you got, low credit, your credit score is low, then you got a bad grade. Another reflection of your credit is in the credit report. The credit report is not a grade or a number. The credit report is actually a list of all of the transactions and all of the people that you owe money and how often you pay them back on time. So you have to manage the big four if you're going to build the financial future that you want. You got to manage your budget, your debt, your credit, and your taxes. Okay, let's move on. Another principle that everybody needs to know and master if you want to build the type of financial future that you want is everyone has to know how to save at least 10% of their income. You gotta have to. You gotta save. Everybody has to save. You can't afford to spend everything that you make. If you spend everything that you make, then you're already setting yourself up for failure. You want to set yourself up for success, right? So that's the principle. And you have to prepare for example, you have to prepare for financial emergencies. What are financial emergencies that you might face inside your life? Anybody have any ideas, any clues? I'll tell you some financial emergencies I've faced. I have faced before financial emergencies that have to do with health crises. Oh, you got, you had an injury or an accident. You had to go to the actual hospital, but they took you in an ambulance. And so when they take you in an ambulance, that automatically is $1,000 bill at least. If you get picked up, let's say you get hit by a car, you're riding your bike, you're riding your skateboard, right? You're walking with your friends, you get hit by a car, an ambulance comes and puts you in, you will have to pay that bill. Whether you ask for the ambulance to pick you up or not, if they put you in the ambulance and take you to the hospital, boom, that's at least $1,000 bill right there. Okay? So there are financial emergencies that pop up. There are housing emergencies that pop up, like, at your home, oh no, there was an electrical fire and we can't stay here. They said it's not safe, right? So what are you going to do then? If you don't have a financial buffer, you're going to be in deep trouble. There are car emergencies, right? There's all kinds of stuff that can happen. You get the idea. We need to prepare for conditions that don't exist yet. So I tell everybody, make sure that you save at least 10% of your monthly income. And people tell me all the time, I don't know about you, but I got a lot of bills I can't afford to save. And what I'm trying to tell you right now is you can't afford not to. Financial emergencies are real, and when they come, right, you got to deal with them. The doctor says, your baby's going to be okay, but you're going to have to buy this medication, and the medication costs $600 every month. That's a financial emergency. If you've been saving, then you got something to fall back on. If you haven't, what's going to happen, right? Okay, next principle. For every young person that can hear the sound of my voice right now, I want to look you in your beady eyes and I want to tell you one simple thing. If you want to be financially successful, recognize that the biggest racket out there, the biggest game on the streets right now has to do with your housing. Many young people that I work with are on the verge of a housing crisis from the time that they graduate from high school. And so what I'm trying to tell you is the principle that you need to master here: prepare today so that you can own your home tomorrow. I love the Chinese proverb that says, you should dig your well before you're thirsty. Dig your well before you're thirsty. And most of you guys are like, man, I ain't worried about buying a house. I ain't worried about paying rent. I'm not worried about none of that stuff right now, right? I'm just trying to holler at a girl. I'm just trying to, get this new game for my Nintendo, or I'm trying to get this new game for my Xbox or my Sony PlayStation 5. And what I'm trying to tell you right now is you need to really start thinking about your financial future. Remember, FEO is future economic opportunity. It's not going to happen accidentally. You have to build that. You have to build that. And so what I'm telling you today is prepare today to own your own home tomorrow. The single biggest expense that most of you will ever face is going to be the cost of owning a home or paying for a place that you have to live. It will be a cost that you have every month for the rest of your life. You're going to have to pay for where you live, right? If you pay rent, you're paying somebody else. If you buy a home and you pay your mortgage, you pay yourself, okay? So every single one of you should be thinking about, how can I prepare today to own a home tomorrow? There's a lot more that goes into that, but I'll tell you right now, it means you need to build your credit score. You need to be aware of your credit score, number one. Number two, you need to build it up, right? Number three, you have to have money saved so that you can purchase a home. I don't know anybody who can buy a home with no money down unless you get into a government program. They do exist, but they're kind of like a black swan, right? We've seen them before, but not many of them, okay? And in addition to all that stuff, you have to have a job. So those are things that you can work on today to prepare today so that you can own a home tomorrow. Think about that. All right. Our next principle is for all you young people out there, you're a teenager, you're like, yeah, I ain't worried about all that stuff. I ain't trying to mess with that. Well, the reality is this: you need to start preparing for retirement today by learning to invest. Every single one of you needs to learn what it means to invest, right? We are consumers. We are a consumer-driven society, but our problem is we all know how to spend money, right? We know how to consume things, but we don't know how to spend money on the things that will cause money to come back to us, right? Most of you guys, when you get a check or you get some money, it burns a hole in your pocket. You're spending it on everything and anything that you can think of. But the reality is this: when you learn how to use your money to make money, that's when you win. When you learn how to use your money to make money, that's how you win. Most people use their time to make money. Investors use their money to make money, and they regain their time. Okay? So I'm challenging every one of you. Think about your retirement, right? And what's your life going to look like 40 years from now, 50 years from now? How do you prepare for those conditions? We need to adopt and adapt to what I call NOAA technology. You need to build for conditions that don't even exist yet, right? So you're like, I'm not going to retire anytime soon, so I don't need to prepare for retirement. No. Remember the Chinese proverb. You need to start digging that well today. You don't want to dig the well when you're thirsty. You want to already have the well dug and water coming to you, right? When you decide, man, I'm thirsty. Oh, I need to get me something to drink. So retirement has to do with that. If more young people focused on retirement and investing and preparing for that, they would be much more successful financially in their futures. Okay. Everybody here needs to master the next principle, which is absolutely core, absolutely key. And remember, I talked to you about the 2-1-30. What was the 2-1-30 again? That's right. 2 new skills, 1 new habit every 30 days. When I talk to a lot of young people about that, they're like, I don't even know what skills I should learn this month. I'm like, well, I'll give you a few suggestions. Everyone has to deal with money on some level. So if you don't know what skills to master this month, why don't you master some money management skills? Why don't you develop new money management habits, right? Some of you guys are like, man, I don't even know what I need to know. And that's real. I mean, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. But you could talk to somebody and they'll tell you, listen, if you want to learn how to manage your money better, maybe you should learn how to calculate interest, right? A lot of people buy stuff and they can't pay attention. They don't pay attention to the interest rate because they don't even know what the heck interest is. What do you mean I got to pay interest? What do you mean APY? What is that? I don't even know. That means that interest means that if you borrow some money, they're going to ask for the money that you borrowed back plus an additional amount based upon a percentage rate. That's what we call interest. So those are things that you can learn, right? You can learn how to open your bank account. You can learn how to build your side hustle. You can learn how to start your own business, right? You can learn how to track your spending by using budgeting software, budgeting apps, right? You can learn these things. You can learn how to do your own taxes. If you're young and you have one job, doing your taxes is not hard. It's taking some numbers from your W-2 form and putting it into a computer program software. Boom. You can do your own tax. You don't have to pay somebody to do that for you. Now, when it gets more complicated, you may want to get a tax professional. But while you're young, you have one job, you don't make that much money. It's pretty easy. You need to learn that. Learn how to create a savings plan, right? What's the difference between putting your money in a savings account and putting your money in a different type of savings vehicle, like a CD, a certificate of deposit? Or how about a Roth IRA, right? There's all kinds of things out there that you know nothing about, but you need to learn. So those are new skills and those are new habits that you can form at this stage of your life. That will help you to build your FEO. The next thing I would say is, and this is a principle that everybody should master, is You have to believe, you have to avoid the hype. Don't believe the hype that everybody's telling you about what you need. There's a principle that people talk about all the time. They say, he's keeping up with the Joneses. What does that mean, keeping up with the Joneses, right? See, you see your neighbor with something, and you're like, oh, they got a new car, or they got a Tesla, or they got this, or they got that. I think I need that. Oh, they got the new iPhone. Oh, okay. Oh, they got the new Samsung. Oh, I got to get me one of them, right? Well, the truth is, you don't make the same money that they do. You don't have the same budget that they do. You're not living by the same plan that they are. And so keeping up with the Joneses is stupid. Don't believe the hype. Don't watch people on television or on the internet, and they're always talking about, I'm a baller now, and I did this. I sold Melaleuca. I joined the Amway, and I sell Amway, and I'm a millionaire now, and all this stuff. And there's all kinds of schemes and scams out there that are trying to convince young people just like yourself, right, to buy into something and to sacrifice for something, and you get caught up in the hype, and then later on you find out, I wasted my time, I wasted my energy, I wasted my money. Don't believe the hype, right? Have you ever seen these rappers, and they're rapping on their album, and they're in this video, and they got all these people around them, and naked women bouncing around, dancing around, all this kind of crazy stuff, and then next thing you know, you see some show where they actually are showing their home life, and this guy comes home at 5 o'clock every day, and he makes dinner for his kids, and he doesn't have 5 girlfriends on the side. He has no half-naked women running around his house. He has one wife, and she's the boss, right? But they create an image that they want people to follow, right? And so that image is dramatic. It's overly dramatized. Don't believe the hype. Don't do that stuff. Say, you know what? What's on television, what's on the internet, I'm not even going to trust that. What I'm going to trust is what I can build in my own life. And so a lot of people, they get caught up in the hype. They're buying the wrong stuff. They believe that they have to have something just because someone else has it, and they're just getting caught up. TikTok will lie to you sometimes, right? Don't get caught up. Don't believe the hype. Practice sound financial principles for your finances and for your personal life. Here's another thing that most people will never teach you or tell you about when it comes to your financial future. You need to make it a part of your plan. Make it a part of your personal mission and journey in life. Not just to make yourself financially successful, but make it your plan to help other people along the way. I don't know anyone who's successful that didn't get somebody's help along the way. I remember when I started Telios Training Solutions, and our first contract was a $25,000 contract. It required us to spend $16,000 or $17,000 on computers, right? And so we were really excited about getting this contract. I had credit with a computer vendor, and so we called them and we said, hey, we're ready to buy these computers and we want to start this order, and we have this training coming up. We're going to need all of our equipment within this next couple weeks. And at some point in the process, they decided, oh, you know what? We think that you guys are resellers. We don't think that you guys have a legitimate business, and so we're not going to give you the credit that we give to businesses. We're pulling your credit. And without that credit, my business partner and I sat down. We looked at all the money, all the credit cards, all the access to all the cash that we had, and we only could come up with about $4,000, right? And so I met with a guy. I sat down, and he was referred to us. He was a supplier for a local company of all of their computer equipment. I met with the guy, and I shared with him our plan, how we wanted to impact the lives of young people by teaching classes and offering them technology and all this stuff. And this guy said, you know what, I'm a really good judge of character, and I like you guys. I like what you're doing. I can see that you guys have a legitimate contract with a government agency. And he said, I want you guys to make me an offer and send it to me by fax, and I'll let you know whether or not I can help you guys to get all your computers. And we sent him a fax, and we got back a fax the same day in the same hour, and had one word on it. It said, done. And this guy that I had only met and had lunch with loaned us $17,000 and helped us get where we are. So everyone along the way receives help. And so one of the principles that you need to master is, how can I strengthen my community? By giving back. And some of you guys are like, that's cool. Someone gave you $17,000 and that's cool, right? But I ain't got no money to give to nobody. Well, you don't always have to give money. You can give your time. You can give your money. You can give resources, right? You can give of yourself. Make it your mission in life, not just to be personally, financially successful, but make it your mission to help other people along the way. And that will help you to become the right type of person who builds the right type of financial future. All right, where are we at? Coming up, this is critical and crucial. I always tell people, your biggest challenge in life is not making money, is keeping the money that you make, right? There are limitless opportunities for you to make money. Your biggest challenge in life is not making money, is keeping the money that you make. And I've made more money in my life being an entrepreneur than any other thing, right? I've made more money in my life by creating a business or solving a problem for someone. I told you guys earlier, let me repeat it again. You were born to be a problem solver. And the problems that you solve for other people are the things that are going to get you paid in this world. And so I would tell you, if I had to summarize a principle that would help you to reach your FEO, the principle would be this. And I like the way that Jay-Z said it. He said, I'm a business, not a businessman. And so I would encourage all of you, even as a teenager, become a business. Be an entrepreneur. Be someone who finds a side hustle. Be someone who finds a problem that someone else has and solve it for them. If you're good at detailing cars, detail someone's car. They will pay you, right? If you're good at fixing brakes, tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell your aunt, your uncle, tell your barber, tell all the people that you know, hey, I'm starting a small business on the side where I do people's brakes. If you need brakes, let me know. I will come over to your house and I will fix them right there, right? Find a way. Off the top of my head, I could probably tell you 20 different things that you could do. I'm not saying build Apple, right? I'm not saying build a huge corporation. I'm saying find something that you're good at, that you're passionate with, and that you're skilled at. Offer that to somebody else in return for payment. And let that be your side hustle, right? If you're going to reach your financial goals, it's not going to be because you were a good employee and you got paid great by your employer. Most people don't have jobs that pay well enough, right? You're going to need to do something extra. So get you a side hustle, right? That's what I'm telling you. Get a side hustle. Right now, I'm telling you, some of you guys can have a little babysitting gig on the side. Some of you already do. You do it for free. You don't even realize people will pay you for that. Some of you guys could be a dog walker, right? Some of you guys could be a dog groomer. Some of you guys could go out and, like I said, detail cars. Some of you guys could paint people's houses, mow lawns, right? Wash laundry, buy groceries, right? There's so many things that you can do as a teenager right now, right? You guys know stuff about social media that older people don't know. You could create their social media profiles. You could fix all their stuff, right? There's so many things that you could do. So make sure that you find a way to be a business and not just a businessman. Because when you have a legitimate side hustle, that's how you find your future economic opportunity really starting to bounce. I love the idea that most people that I know that are wealthy aren't first generation wealthy people. They were part of a long chain of financial success. Many of them, their grandfather was a hard worker and built a business and was able to leave money and leave a financial advantage to their fathers or their mothers, who were able to leave that same financial advantage or benefit to their children and their children's children. So this is the principle. If you really want to accomplish your future economic opportunity, I tell people this all the time, you need to figure out how you can create enough income in your life that you have money to pass on to your kids. When rich people die and wealthy die, they leave a will. When poor people die, they leave a bill. And so ask yourself your question. Ask yourself this question. Do you want to be one of those people who has your kids out on the street corner with a car wash sign trying to figure out how to pay for your funeral? Or do you want them to be sitting in a room one day with a lawyer who's explaining how much you left them and how that's going to benefit them moving forward so that they can be financially successful and pass on that benefit to their children and their children's children? Powerful principles. It will make all the difference. It will help you reach that financial future that you always dreamed and imagined. Here's something I just want to remind you. I alluded to this earlier when I talked about the big four. You remember what the big four are? Budget, credit, debt, and taxes. This is specifically about your credit. I want everyone, if you want to reach the financial future, your best financial future, I want everyone to think about this. Right now is the time for you to learn about your credit and protect your credit at all times. Right now is the time for you to learn about credit and protect your credit at all times. I don't even need to say any more. The reality is, most people wish that they had a little bit better credit. Most people wish that they didn't make the mistakes that they did a few years earlier so that it put them in a better financial position in their present. So before you get to that point, do something today that your future self will thank you for. Build your credit, protect your credit, learn more about your credit, make credit an important emphasis of building your financial future. That's it.
Okay. Hit that real quick.
I hope that's recorded.
That was right on point. I was hoping we could do right about 30 minutes. So. What?
It was not on. This one was.
Yeah.
This one wasn't.
Why wasn't it on?
I don't know. I pushed the button. I heard it beep, but I'm still learning that camera because I just bought it the other day. But let's take a look at this real quick and see what we got.
Oh, I got it. It's just a side view, though.
To be honest with you, if I had much more time, I'd love to do a second. Just now that I got my mouth working, and I'd love
It's
to
a
do
dry.
it again.
It's a good drive, but again, if I meet with Farouk and his people right before we do another one, then you can remember what we need to do better this time out.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if I can hear this. That's the thing, right? Is with the